everyone hear me? Excellent. Thanks all very much for coming on a Thursday night. I know Richard mentioned it's Hungary, Norway now, so I appreciate you coming, and hopefully you don't all skip off at 7:45. Just to give you a bit of background, my name's Dan Barnett. I run Analytics Marketing, so I'll give you a bit more details about myself. But we're going to hear today from Mark from Obster, talking about stats in the media. Ronan and Andrew using GPS with their PlayTech system. Paul and Rob talking about transfer spend and how to buy success. Colm, unfortunately, failed the lip fitness test, got a sore throat and was unable to make it. And so he tells me. Whether he's secretly Hungarian, I don't know. And John is going to be talking from Huddle about using video within Premier League academies. So yeah, a little bit about myself. My name's Dan Barnett, data analyst, run Analytics Marketing. Work with a range of companies, usually in the kind of boring kind of telcos business. It's selling widgets, whatever it may be. Background, I'm a Swansea City fan, so not quite as smug as I was when I did the presentation back in June, but I'm sure by the next presentation I'll be smug again. So combine that interest of Swansea data at wearepremierleague.com. Been running these for a while now. Data is an ever-growing part of sport, football in particular. So this is the fourth event. Previously had Chris Anderson, who's now Managing Director at Coventry City. People like Brian Prestige, who used to be performance analyst at Bolton, now does some really cool stuff with the Information Lab. Huddle we've had before, talking about various bits, and they do really good stuff with video. And so the aim is to kind of bring sport and data together. So I don't know how many of you are aware of, last couple of days has been Leaders in Sport conference at the Emirates. And so this is a kind of little version of Leaders in Sport. I like to think, hopefully, the buffet's not as good, but hopefully the talks are. So you need to decide on that. So obviously, kind of using data analysis, it's nothing new. The whole concept of understanding, has been going back donkey's years. So this is talking about, I don't know if you can read that at the back, a little anecdote about Jockstein. Used to sit there with a pen and paper on a pitch, just follow where the ball went, and at the end of it, you've got a heat map. So the whole idea of kind of using information, being smarter, understanding better what's going on, it's not a new thing. It's not the number geeks who are ruining football. Everyone always wants to know more, wants to improve. Numbers aren't necessarily the only answer, but they can be part of it. So the first one of these I did was back in July 2013, and this was my final slide, talking about the future. And so, whether or not you can see it on the back of Brian O'Driscoll's shirt there's a little GPS system. And it's only been this season now where within Football League, within the Premier League, they're now allowed to use similar kind of things in the backs of their shirts, monitoring information about kind of speed and so on. And so, as usual, kind of rugby gets there first with technology, and football gets dragged kicking and screaming into probably the 20th century, not the 21st. So kind of things like GPS, which the guys on PlayTech will talk about later, fitness data, video analysis, the kind of things that were kind of cutting edge a couple of years ago are the sort of things you can now do, anyone pretty much. You could upload videos to Huddle, it doesn't cost that much. PlayTech is much more, I'm certainly not going to say cheap, not nothing to say, but it's more of an entry level, it's much more affordable, that's probably the best word. So those kind of things where it used to be kind of elite level, you can now do it if it's your pub five-a-side. You can video it, you can edit it, you can create stats, whatever it is. There's so much you can do now. So an example here is Brian from the Information Lab kind of did this. Running. But, so example here, any game, any event has an X and a Y and a time axis, so you can link the information on what's happening into video. So this is the kind of thing that, if you were happy with your video being public on YouTube, is the kind of thing that anybody could do. You could do this for your park football team. Tableau, public, you can have it on there. And so, those kind of things that, there's zero cost in terms of software. Obviously, there's a technical skill needed to do those kind of things, but those kind of things get easier and easier. So where that a few years ago was kind of cutting edge, kind of, Premier League only. It's filtering down and down and down, and now, pretty much anyone can do these kind of things. So, example, this is from Combs Stats on Apps. So unfortunately, he's not going to talk about this kind of stuff in more detail. But it's all about kind of doing stuff smarter with data. So not just kind of pumping out top level stuff. It's kind of reworking things to kind of create a dashboard, make something that's more visually appealing, easy to understand for people. And so, kind of when we talk about data in the media, there's this kind of battle between, the real football people and the nerds, when in reality, it's all about kind of understanding things a bit better. So, this was a thing in the Mail a couple of months ago. Now, whether anyone should get angry with what goes in the Daily Mail is probably not good for anyone's health. But they kind of said, Lionel Messi out for 2 months, the stats show Barcelona are better without him. No, they don't. They show that Barcelona get more points when he doesn't play. That's a different thing. And of course, the main reason why, injuries aside, why Messi doesn't play is because they'd be playing a weak team. That, they could probably put the kids out and win. So, it's not a fair comparison. So, the important thing with any kind of data is inference, not just fact. The fact is true, they get more points without him, but the inference of, therefore, Barcelona are better without him is completely false. And so this, another Mail example, comes from Martin Samuel, where he's talking about Brentford and when they got rid of Mark Warburton. The whole kind of thing about, if they end up finishing 5th, but the model said that they shouldn't have, well, how can they be lucky for 46 games? That's impossible. Well, obviously, you don't need to be lucky for 46 games to finish a few places above par. It only needs a couple of games, extra 6 points, and you're up there. So this whole kind of use of data. Some people want to learn, some people don't want to learn, some people just spin it for however they want their kind of overall understanding. And so kind of coming now to our first speaker, so Mark's going to be talking about the use of Opta in the media. Mark?